Hey, let me ask you a question. Have you ever wanted to take AAA game titles on the go using a system that's ergonomic, sleek, and viable? Well, I've got just the system for you. Sorry, not that one. That's more like it. Alright, so some context. I'm a pretty busy guy. I'm a college student, so it's go to class, go study, waste some time on YouTube, and go take an exam. And maybe party a little bit. Point is, I don't have nearly as much time as I'd like to when it comes to playing video games, at least outside of streaming, which you can see live at twitch.tv/cowboy1. Go check it out.
Run! Oh!
Having a portable option is a huge plus. After all, portable titles have been doing well for years. I mean, heck, it's how I got into video games in the first place. However, once you combine this ability with that of home consoles, that's some innovation, and some money saved. So it should come as no surprise that I am a Nintendo Switch owner, and I only have one. Sorry, I'm not paying $300 for the new Pokemon Switch or this longer one that's compensating for something.
Okay.
Yep, this is a good old Generation 1 Switch, bought in April of 2017, where I dragged my grandfather out to a Walmart at 7 a.m. to buy the last one in stock. Overall, it's a good design. Easy to hold, even easier to dock. However, as great as it is, many have an issue with its library of titles. That's not to say that the Switch has some great games on it. In fact, I would say that some of these games are Nintendo's best. Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild are some of the highlights, of course.
It's not gonna work, look. She's just gonna run across the— Oh, no!
What happened?
There are just a lot of older titles that people want to play, and it's extremely unfortunate when you consider Nintendo's history of cross-compatibility.
How am I supposed to put this in here?
On the handheld line, the DS could play Game Boy games. Then the DSi and 3DS came along, it could play DS games. Not to mention that these two also had their own online stores with loads more games to play. Back on the console end of things, the Wii could play GameCube games and the Wii U could play Wii games, even emulating the Wii home menu. It's a nice touch. The Wii and Wii U also had their own online stores with a lot of retro titles to play, while also giving us the song that comes included in every YouTuber starter kit. Actually, let's change this up. Going back to our diagram, you may be asking, what's the issue? With this wide variety of consoles, you can play about any game you want to, right? Well, let's say these were gone. Yeah, Nintendo disabled the Wii and DSi shops and are currently digging the grave of the Wii U and 3DSs come 2023, leaving many of these games unobtainable. Unless, of course, you quickly speedrun to a GameStop and buy one of these consoles, as well as whatever games you want from their systems. You still won't be able to play Mario Galaxy 2 on Switch, though.
What am I supposed to do with this?
But surely, Nintendo's linking of portable and console gaming lineages would take over, right? I mean, it even has its own eShop, so it should definitely be able to pick up the slack, right? Well... Oh, perfect! I almost forgot what Heartbreak felt like. Yeah, while many have complained about this feature, the biggest offender to me is that it's locked behind a paywall. A paywall for an online system, while great at its best...
Get the frick out of here. Is that Spider-Man? Oh, it's Spider-Man! They put Spider-Man in this game?
normally tends to...
Why?
Leave things to be desired. Even after I pay, I have to ask who snuck a Pokemon Puzzle League in with my Zelda. Even then, it has to check if the software can even launch. It doesn't even feel like I own it. So what if there was a system that solved most of these issues? Well, here comes Steam with a solution, the Steam Deck. This being the 256GB version of it. Comparison-wise, it is a bit bigger than the regular Switch, and while I don't have an OLED Switch, it's got a couple inches on that as well. However, the thing that everyone is talking about with this thing is its power, paling the Switch in comparison. This thing has the specs of a small gaming PC, and while this display of stats alone may be impressive to some, what does it mean for us casuals? Well, it means that it can run meaty games like Sekiro and Elden Ring with relatively no trouble. In fact, a good portion of your Steam library should already be compatible with the Steam Deck, as indicated with these small icons. Even some of the ones that aren't fully compatible still work if you give them a launch.
Yeah.
You weren't supposed to see that one. Jokes aside, this gives games that have no right being portable a chance to do so, because nothing says you're a gamer more than raging at Elden Ring on a public bus. Something to keep in mind while you're raging is the battery life, because these games are really hungry. It just goes to show that while it is nice to have some of these games on the go, a lot of them weren't meant to be played in a portable fashion. Take, for example, Persona 5 Royal, one of my favorite games of all time. It's a phenomenal game in its own right, however, its visual flair and style come at the expense of my battery power. At times, the life lasted as little as 3 hours, but like the Switch, the deck can be a compatible home console as well. However, you will need an additional dock. But with it, it essentially becomes a extremely powerful home console. It can work with nearly any controller you give it as well, even Nintendo ones ironically enough. But what about those old Nintendo games? We all know that Nintendo wouldn't be caught dead looking at putting their main IPs on other platforms. We know what happened with the CDI.
It sure is boring around here.
Well, here is where things tend to get a bit complicated and morally gray. The Steam Deck, while a portable console in appearance, is actually a small Linux computer. What is Linux, you may be asking? Why, it's an open source Unix-like operating system based on Linux kernel.
Huh?
Basically, it's a computer that lets you easily program it, given you know how to use it. Which I don't. The important takeaway is that it's a computer, which opens the door to all kinds of possibilities, such as fan games of existing properties unavailable on consoles. It's nice to give these a home, one that feels like a home console. It's just right. However, it also allows the dreaded E word. Yeah, let's talk about it. Essentially, what emulation does is trick a game file into thinking that a certain program is the original hardware that it was meant to run on. Programs such as Dolphin, which is a Wii and GameCube emulator, even share traits with modern ports of games. The reason I say that is a large amount of modern ports use emulators, as it's a lot easier than building the game from the ground up again, which means they can have input lag or visual errors exclusive to emulation. However, it's the obtaining of these game files that falls into legal questioning. You can of course rip the ROMs yourself, you just have to have the right equipment for it. It doesn't help that the websites you obtain them from look like virus breeding grounds, but hey, at least they let me play Minecraft for free. Setting these emulators up requires a bit more work than many would be willing to put in, which is understandable, especially for it to do this whenever you finally get it working. There are systems that the community has made to make these processes easier, such as EmuDeck, an all-in-one download for most, if not all, the emulators you're ever gonna need. But if you do wait it out and have enough patience, sometimes it can be the ideal way to play some of these games. Take Kid Icarus Uprising, the 3DS's best game, period. It has great characters, many of which are way too funny despite this game's age. The gameplay is great too, when it isn't breaking your hands. Because let's face it, playing this game on the 3DS is painful. I'm sorry, it just is. While using the stylus to aim makes sense, it doesn't feel correct. And using the stand that it came with really doesn't make a big difference. So throw both of those out and use this instead. This is the Steam Deck's trackpad, used to emulate mouse movement, and thanks to some kind friends online, you can use this to aim instead, making this game playable for more than one level and ice pack at a time. Seriously, this control set is amazing and can be mapped for other touchpad games as well. With enough patience, you can even get Switch games working, which feels mean for some reason. And while it is nice to have all of these games on the same menu screen, it does take a sizable amount of work. However, to me, that's worth it. And maybe having this all-in-one package could be worth it to you as well. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to light my candles and play some Wii Sports. Thank you all so much for watching. As I said earlier, you can catch me recording the footage for a lot of these videos live on my Twitch. And if that isn't really your thing, I have a lot of photography content on my Instagram as well if you want to check that out. Links for both of these are in the description below. Anyways, I'll see you all next time or something like that.